What's up Nerfers? These are the new 1.4 gram ace darts, the heaviest Nerf darts I've ever tested. Heavier than Sabre, heavier than Worker, heavier than anything else on my channel. They're also incredibly affordable. They were sent to me thanks to Monkeemods, who are selling 200 packs of these. A box of 200 of these will set you back $10 US, making them 5 cents a dart. That's half the price of Dart Zone and half the price of Sabre. Monkeemods sent me 4 different kinds of these ace darts. They're all heavier than standard 1 gram darts. Starting off, we have the yellow tip, which weigh 1.1 grams each. Then we've got the green tip, which weigh 1.2. We've got a purple tip, which weigh 1.3, the same as Sabre darts. Then we've got these bad boys, the pink tip, which weigh a massive 1.4 grams. Incredibly promising for their maximum range. We'll have to test the accuracy later on as well. Now, how they actually vary the weight of the dart tips when they're making the darts is by injecting at a higher pressure into the mold, so you end up with a more dense concentration of the rubber material. So they're using the same exact material in all of the tips, just more of it in the heavier ones. As a byproduct of that, the 1.1 grams do feel quite soft, and then the 1.4 grams feel a bit harder. And for a frame of reference, the 1.3 gram ace darts feel just the same as 1.3 gram Sabre darts, and then just imagine the 1.4s are an even harder tip than that. The dart tip is connected to a very long shaft, which gives it a lot of contact area to stick to when inside the foam, and they definitely are glued very well into the foam, but that doesn't mean they have very good durability. It is incredibly easy to break the seal between the rubber at the front there and the foam, allowing air to pass straight through the back out the front of the dart. Because of that, I can't give these a good recommendation for durability, because repeat uses, you'll get inconsistencies with your FPS as that air escapes straight out the front of the dart. So using them as a throwaway, one-time use could be a viable option. Now, I am giving ace darts their best possible chance to shine today by using the most consistent Nerf blaster I own. This is the $2,000 Sabre Ultima with its 800mm barrel, and I put the best Nerf rifling on the market on the front there, which is the Akasha by Rexfire. Links to the blaster, links to the rifling, and links to the darts will all be found down below. For a baseline reading, I'm going to be using Sabre darts as the competition today. They've got to try and beat these. They are twice the price per shot, so we'll do a bit of a wrap up at the end of which is worth it. I also want to do a test with a 550mm barrel at the end of the video, just with the Sabre darts that I use for my gameplay, because an 800mm barrel is pretty fucking long to use in gameplay. I want to see if this performs just as well, especially with the Akasha on there, which vents excess air anyway. Okay guys, the first test today will of course be the Chrono Test. I'm going to do the darts in the order that I think will be fastest to slowest, so I'm going to do 1.1s, then 1.2s, 1.3s, 1.3 Sabre darts, 1.4s, and then I'm going to do Sabre darts in the shorter barrel. Let's get started with the 1.1s. Here goes. 317, 315, 318, 315, 314, 314, 317, 316, 319, 324, 319, 317, 316, 312, 318, that's all 15 of those. I do think that's pretty low for a 1.1 gram dart, but they were pretty consistent. So that does bode well for accuracy later on. Now we'll see what the 1.2s do. 308, 311, 309, 303, 306, 310, 310, 313, 314, 308, 307, 311, 311, 308, 307, getting closer to that 300 FPS. I reckon the 1.3s will do it. We'll be right around that 300 FPS limit that we play at here. Here goes. 305, 299, there we go, below 300, 303, 300 exactly, 300, 303, 296, 301, 299, 304, 304, 306, 307, 305, 297. That's all of the 1.3s. Definitely sitting around that 300 FPS, which I expect the Sabre darts will do around the same as well, being the same weight. 294, 295, 292, 286, 288, 290, 291, 291, 288, 286, 291, 289, my arm's getting a little bit sore, 287, 299, 289, that's all 15 of those. Now we just need to get through the 1.4s. I can take a quick break while I change the barrel. Here goes with the 1.4s. 289, 287, 285, 286, 287, 87, 291, 294, 290, 286, 295, 288, 286, 290, 285. That's all of the 1.4s. I'll turn the camera off for a sec while I change the barrel. Okay guys, I do have the shorter 550mm barrel on there instead of the 800mm now. This is definitely going to drop the FPS of our 1.3 gram Sabre darts. But will it drop them by a lot? That's what I want to find out, so that when I use this in gameplay going forward, can I use a shorter barrel? Here goes. 287, 278, 276, 281, 276, 275, 274, 279, 275, 276, 273, 283, 281, 280, 275, and that's all of them. I reckon it's probably dropped us by maybe 10, 20 FPS. Not a lot, so it could be worth using in gameplay just to have a shorter blaster overall. Over the chronograph, 1.1 gram ace darts averaged 316 feet per second with a standard deviation of 2.8, very consistent. The 1.2 gram version averaged 309 with a standard deviation as well of 2.8. How's that for a coincidence? The 1.3 gram version averaged 301 with a 3.3 standard deviation, so a little bit worse, but within margin of error that is essentially the same. Sabre's 1.3s averaged 290 feet per second with a 3.5 standard deviation. 1.4 gram ace darts averaged 288 feet per second with a standard deviation of 3. And Sabre's 1.3s fired through a shorter 550mm barrel averaged 277 feet per second with a standard deviation of 3.8. Taking a look at all of those results, can we firstly appreciate the fact that I was spot on with the descending order of FPS? Ace darts, being bamboo for lower friction, shot a little faster out of the barrel relative to Sabre darts, as I predicted. The Ace 1.4s essentially equaled the FPS of Sabre 1.3s. For consistency, they were all pretty close and within margin of error of each other, aside from my shorter barrel that is definitely worse. All I can say though is it's great to finally have a cheaper dart that might actually be able to stand toe to toe with Sabre. To see whether that comes to fruition, you'll just have to keep watching though. For the second test today, guys, we're going to be doing the range test. Now, I think that the 1.4 gram are going to go furthest because they weigh the most, but there's only one way to find out, and that's using my trusty laser rangefinder. And when I find all the darts, I'll stand on top of them and point the rangefinder straight at that black and white sign. We are shooting into the wind today, so we might have a little bit less range than normal, but we'll see how we do, aiming at a 45-degree angle. I can hear when it dry fires as well. So not only did we have a strong crosswind today pushing him towards this fence, we also had a strong headwind, so the range is going to be quite a bit lower than usual. Now coming to our first yellow 1.1 gram dart, of course the lightest one went the shortest at 57 meters. Moving up a little bit further, we've got 3 of the greens all bunched together at 60 meters, so they went a little bit further, being 1.2 grams. Now we've got some purples. The purples went a tad further, 64 meters. So the 1.3s actually went shorter than the Sabre 1.3s. Here's the Sabre 1.3s, 72 meters. And we also have the 1.4s at the same exact distance. So the Ace darts don't seem to be quite as aerodynamic as Sabre darts. The heavier 1.4s equaled the same range as the 1.3s. For the final test, we're going to be doing the 30-meter accuracy test. Going to be shooting at a 1 meter diameter round target using the RunCam scope cam, so you'll be able to see exactly where I'm aiming for every single shot for complete transparency. I'm using a sandbag as a rest, which I recently refilled, so it should be sitting nice and firm under the blaster there. The front grip is not touching the drum at all, so it gives us a very stable shooting platform there. And I'm going to use them in the same exact order as with the Chrono Test, starting with the 1.1 gram darts. Here goes. Surprisingly accurate. Whoa, okay. Those 3 shots very close together. This is with the 1.1s. Oh, a little more to the right, that one. Back to the center again, around that white cross. A little bit lower. Still very good showing from the, lightest of the bunch. And they're bright yellow, so very easy to see as they fly through the air too. A little bit higher, that one. Two more. Last one. Not bad, not bad. Let's try the 1.2s, 0.1 grams heavier. Let's see how these do. A little low and right. But will they all do that? And that's around the same spot. A little more to the left now. More central. More left. Central. Bit more to the right. Bit low. Little low and right. Same spot. Almost hit the exact center of the plus sign there. Clear to the left. Center. These are all going around the same height, which is interesting. Low and right, and final shot. Center, but low. All right, I think just the 1.1 seem to be doing a little bit better, but I won't really know till I get home. Here are the 1.3s with their purple tips. Nice and centered. Centered but a little bit lower. These are all in a dead straight line vertically. And a little bit lower and to the right, that one. Aside from that one, the others are all in line with each other. These are very good, the 1.3s. These are definitely going to give the Sabre T-darts a run for their money. And of course, by nature, the Dart Zone Nitro shot as well, because they're exactly the same performance as Sabre. Oh, a little to the left, that one. Last shot. Now we got Sabre 1.3 gram darts. Beautiful shot. I think it's going to be hard to tell, at least out in the field here. There we go, all 15 Sabre darts. We have one more until the barrel swap. These are the 1.4 grams, heaviest darts I've ever tested. Let's see how they do. Nice and centered. Similar spot. If these end up being just as good as Sabre, well, you can save yourself half the price. Definitely, unlike blues and rumbling, these are doing much closer to the Sabre darts. So even if these aren't quite as good, we won't know till we get back home. They are definitely at least going to be the second best dart out there. Well, that is all 15 of those. Time for a barrel swap. And we'll see what my shorter barrel does with Sabre darts. With a Kasha, which should vent the excess air anyway, we'll see what kind of accuracy we get with a more practical blaster for actual gameplay use. Sabre darts, because that's all I currently care about for this test. Here goes. I'll aim at the exact same spot as well to know if I'll have to change my zero. So they are shooting lower power. I went a little bit lower. Don't think the gripping's quite as good. Still decent though. A little lower on the left, that one. And there's the final shot with the shorter barrel. From 30 meters or 100 foot away for my American viewers, I'm going to show you these starting from the worst. My short barrel with Sabre 1.3 gram darts measured with a ruler overlay graphic shot a 28 centimeter spread. Sucks to be me, I guess. I got to keep using the long boy until Sabre make a tight bore version. In case you didn't know, a tighter barrel can be shorter to get the same power. Next, we had Ace 1.1 gram darts. As you might predict, the lighter ones weren't as accurate. They shot a 27 centimeter spread. Bit of a jump now. 1.2 gram Ace dart shot a 23 centimeter spread. And now for a result I wasn't expecting at all. 1.4 gram Ace darts, the new heaviest dart I've ever tested, weren't the best performing Ace dart in accuracy. Despite having the longest range equal to Sabre darts, they shot a 19 centimeter spread. And it was instead the 1.3 gram Ace darts who beat them with a minuscule 14 centimeter spread. That's 5.5 inches, or look down and you'll probably see something the similar size. Very impressive for a dart this affordable. I think Rex's Akasha rifling is really putting in some work here with these cheap darts. And finally, as you would probably expect, the winner by a hair, costing twice as much mind you, Sabre 1.3 gram darts shot a 12 centimeter spread, just like they've done in every other Akasha test so far. At least they're consistently the best. To put into perspective though, just how small that difference was between Ace and Sabre 1.3s, for my American viewers, 2 centimeters is 0.79 inches. Less than an inch separates these half the price darts from Sabre darts. For all intents and purposes, in actual use, you will never notice the difference. So if the accuracy is just that close, what else separates 1.3 gram Ace darts from 1.3 gram Sabre darts? Well, from my own testing, we saw Ace average 11 FPS faster out of the barrel, but went 8 meters or 26 foot shorter in range. That means Ace darts slow down a lot quicker than Sabre darts do. And because they go faster out the barrel, when working under a FPS limit at a game, using Ace darts will actually put you at an even greater range disadvantage than what I showed you today. Generally, the bamboo rings on bamboo darts is what gives them a bit more drag and slows them down faster. Some other observations I made was the questionable durability of the tips. While they do have a really long dart stem, longer than pretty much any other half-length dart I've seen before, almost the entire length of the foam even, and it does keep them attached quite well to the foam, what it doesn't do is keep a good air seal. The tip is very easily broken, and once that air leaks out, you won't get quite as good performance. Essentially, that means you won't get quite as many uses out of the Ace darts as you would with Sabre darts. But given the fact they're half the price, maybe you don't mind using them as a throwaway, perhaps single-use dart. A lot of people, believe it or not, don't reuse their Nerf darts once they've been fired, so these would be a great option for those people. Finally, I need to touch on availability. Because Ace darts are bamboo, unless they release a non-bamboo 1.3 gram version, they will never be sold in the USA, which makes up half of my viewers here on YouTube. Dart Zone has a US patent on bamboo darts, so your vendors over there won't touch these with a 10-foot pole. Instead, you'll have to import these from Monkeemods in Malaysia, which will add quite a bit of shipping on top of that. I have seen Monkeemods have a non-bamboo 1.1 gram version, so fingers crossed that a 1.3 comes out eventually. Distribution-wise, Sabre darts are available in the USA, Singapore, Malaysia, Europe, Taiwan, the UK, and Australia, helping reduce the shipping cost if you shop locally. With all of the facts presented, which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments down below. Find links to everything shown in today's video down below. That's all I have time for today. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. Here's 2 other videos you might enjoy, and as always, thank you very much for watching. See ya.